I had to go upstairs and take care of Colton for like 5 minutes. So when I came back down, I thought, well, he must have given his top one at the beginning and then was kind of giving the other ones, the bad ones, a rundown at the end. So I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and go to Pat. Pat, what's your three? And I'm like, oh no, wait a second. Because you had a Justice League one,
Yep.
right? That was your
Yep.
top one, and I'm sitting there going, I don't remember revisiting that with him, and I do not remember him saying anything. So I went back and listened to it again. I'm like, yeah. So I apologize, number one.
No, it's fine, man.
And
Because I figured after I gave those two that you were just going to come back and do all of our top ones in a row. And then I honestly forgot about it too because we started talking about other stuff. And so, yeah, it happens. Not a big deal.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, then, so it was Justice League. Do you remember what the issue was? Because I went over the issue in the
not off the top of my head. I don't remember the issue number or the year.
Okay.
But I do I remember the comic and the story and the events of it pretty well. And it was actually a really fun comic book and probably more than I expected from any of the Christmas specials.
Was it a more recent, like 90s one?
Yeah. It was probably late 90s, early 2000 because Plastic Man was one of the central characters. And I want to say late 90s, early 2000s, right before they did. I think he was in the JLA. I think he was part of the team that was right before the reboot that they did with Brad Meltzer when they did that incredible storyline with Red Tornado and Solomon Grundy and all of that. I think Plastic Man was on the team just before the Brad Meltzer Ed Benes run.
Okay. So, well, then I guess tell me why you like this one out of your three that you got. Why'd this one win?
It was Plastic Man telling a story to a weird kid from a weird family about Santa Claus and how he knew that Santa Claus was real and Santa Claus was not lame because Santa Claus was in fact a part of the Justice League. And Plastic Man was clearly making things up as he went along as he told this story about Neron the Demon trapping the Justice League and Santa Claus as a part of a plot to destroy all of the goodwill in the world. And Neron is, if you're not familiar with DC lore and the villains there, DC makes use of demons and angelic figures. I feel like a lot more than Marvel or than Marvel does, because with DC you have Trigon, which is the sort of the ultimate Teen Titans villain, and you have Asmodeus, which is an angelic figure that has been used. I think there was an angel that was actually a member of the Justice League for a time. And then you have Neron. And Neron's whole shtick is he likes to make deals. And it's always deals that end poorly for the other person, but he's a demon. So what do you expect?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that sounds familiar.
And so he's tricking kids into getting the Christmas presents they want, but to get them, they have to do bad things. And it's not like super malicious things like kill your parents. It's like, little Sally can have the toy that she wants for Christmas. All she has to do is break her brother's piggy bank to get the money out and go buy it herself. And so he's tricking kids all over the world into doing this. And as they take the deals and engage in this malicious behavior, he becomes stronger and stronger.
Okay.
And so the Justice League goes to rescue Santa Claus. But because of all of the evil that children are doing all over the world, Neron has become far too powerful for the Justice League to fight. And it's up to Santa Claus to save the day. And Santa Claus saves the day by breaking loose from his prison. And he offers Neron a present free of charge. No exchange, no bargain, no tricks. Just Neron, even though you're a demon, even though you're on the naughty list, you're still entitled to something. And so Santa hands over this package to Neron, and Neron has no choice but to accept it. But because there was no actual exchange, it was just a willful gift. It robs Neron of all of his power, and Santa saves the day and is given honorary membership into the Justice League.
Nice. So Santa Claus. Now hold on. This is a story that Plastic Man is telling, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Now is it complete fiction that Santa
Yes.
Claus? Okay, so Santa Claus
Because
by
the
canon
kid
is not a member of the JLA.
correct.
Okay.
The kid is of the opinion that Santa Claus is lame and that the Justice League is cool because they have Superman and Batman, and Santa's lame because he doesn't do anything but give presents. And Plastic Man is trying to tell this kid a bedtime story so he'll go to sleep and Santa Claus can show up and deliver gifts, but at the same time also trying to convince the kid that Santa is not lame because
Yeah.
he's a part of the Justice League as
He
well.
freaking saved him. He saved the Justice League. Come on, kid.
And at the end of the issue, as the kid looks out the window and Plastic Man is with him, Santa Claus is actually outside the window, and Plastic Man is caught completely off guard. Holy cow! Like, how is this happening? Because Plastic Man just made this whole story up. And so the kid jumps in bed and is pretty much like, "All right, dude, you got to get out of here. I got to go to sleep. Santa's here." And Plastic Man's like, "Well, okay." And so Plastic Man leaves and he's confused and trying to figure out what's going on. And the last like page of the comic is you figure out where Santa Claus came from. Plastic Man's communication device on his belt had been broadcasting to other members of the League accidentally.
Oh, nice.
So Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter pick up on where he's at and what he's doing. So Martian Manhunter uses his shape-shifting abilities to become Santa Claus. Green Lantern creates a sleigh and reindeer,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's who they see. And they say, well, how long do you think it'll take him to figure it out? And Martian Manhunter says, well, elongated man would take about 2 minutes, so we'll say about 15 minutes for Plastic.
I need to look into some elongated man and Plastic Man stuff. Can you? I mean, you probably know more about it than I do. What are the? Obviously, they're two different people. Ralph
Yes.
Dibny. Ralph Dibny is Plastic Man, right?
No, Ralph Dibny is elongated man.
Okay, all right. So then, Plastic Man. What's his deal? I mean, is he like
He's weird.
Okay.
I'm honestly not as familiar with Plastic Man as I am with Elongated Man. My introduction to Plastic Man was probably the same as a lot of 80s kids. He had a figure in the DC Superpowers line where if
Okay.
you squeezed his legs together, his neck would pop up really high. And I mean, that was pretty much it. He could stretch and okay, that's Plastic Man. He for a kid that didn't know any better, he was DC's answer to Mr. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Now, as you get into the character, obviously, he is not Reed Richards. He is not a scientist. He's not an intellectual. He's not a team leader. He's at times been portrayed as having a very tenuous grasp on reality. Never very serious. He's always a joke character. Even when he is needed to be serious, it still comes with some witty banter.
Well, I can tell you one of my earlier interactions with Plastic Man. Pretty certain it was Plastic Man, but it was JLA Predator crossover. And Plastic Man could apparently, like, he not only could he change shape, but he defied the laws of physics by like having all of a sudden he's got working thrusters, no fuel involved, but he could turn into a jet plane and then fly around like a jet plane. I'm like,
Interesting.
what is going on here? This defies everything that that was probably the worst comic book I've ever reviewed on source material. But so I'm pretty sure that was Plastic Man. I don't think it was Elongated Man.
Yeah, that's not really the Elongated Man motif. Elongated Man has a lot of the same power set as far as the malleability, the stretching, things like that. He operates more as a Batman type character in that he is a detective. And
Yeah.
it's been pretty well established in the DC universe that Elongated Man is probably the second best detective in the Marvel universe. And there have been times when Batman has gone to him for help with things, to get his take on things when he's been particularly stumped. Probably the definitive elongated man story is Identity Crisis.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Which is, I mean, just a tragic tale, very well done. Has become a big part of canon in the DC universe for multiple characters. But if you enjoy some of the more hard-boiled crime stories and that type of detective work, then Elongated Man's a character that you'll probably enjoy. I will say that Plastic Man looks to be getting at least a temporary spotlight in the DC universe because he's playing somewhat of a role in the metal event that they're doing now.
Is he?
And I've been out of touch with comics for a few years. I don't know how we got to this point, but I do know that Plastic Man is currently trapped in the shape of an egg.
Okay.
He cannot communicate. He cannot speak. He cannot change forms. But whenever he gets near the nth metal, he begins to vibrate, and he acts almost as a tuning fork or a compass for nth metal, which is the focal point of the metal miniseries that they're doing.
Now I've heard a lot of good things about that series.
And I don't know, how we get from point A to point B, but one of the series that's launching, and this, I don't think this is a spoiler because DC's advertising it pretty heavily, is a team book that looks to be filling the void left by the absence of a Marvel Fantastic Four book called The Terrifics, which is Mr. Terrific, Plastic Man, Metamorpho, and a female character that I'm not familiar with and I don't know her name, but they go on these very offbeat adventures with a little bit of a science tilt to them because of Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho, and it looks to be done in that very 1960s Kirby-esque Fantastic Four vein, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm curious to see how we get from Plastic Man being trapped as an egg to the Terrifics book.
Absolutely. So is that where they leave it on that issue? Is just a Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern laughing at poor old Plastic Man?
Yep, that's it. Well, actually, no. The last line of the book comes from Santa Claus, because there is an actual Santa Claus watching all of this unfold. And in the story that Plastic Man told, Santa Claus had heat vision for some reason. And as Santa is going through his bag of toys, he's talking to one of the reindeers and he says, "Heat vision? Really? Where do they get these ideas?"
Wonderful. All right, good deal. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and hit